most importantly, this is Wednesday. We were just recapping loosely where everyone was. Do we remember where we last left our coterie? Where we last left this strange dichotomy of characters, these heroes of our hearts.
In the middle of a siege?
Siege is a little heavy-handed, but yes, you all, if we're going to encapsulate the history of the coterie, have proven to be a threat. Now, the funny thing is, as much as you've proven to be a threat, you've also proven to be victims. You all had enough martial strength and individuals determined to damn the traditions and everything else to pretty much be Broad Street bullies. Unfortunately, things have changed. And while the most dangerous things that you've done would cause even the dead to think twice, most of those things happened in ways and places that others couldn't if they were not directly involved through patsies and cutouts ever know about. What is known about of you is not your most violent, destructive, determining moments, but there's still the stuff of rumors and gossip. There's stuff of mythologies. How many coteries can claim, let alone prove, that through their actions or the actions of their coterie mates to have put down 3 insular or older kindred? How many coteries can claim and prove to have drunken lupine blood and got away with it, let alone destroyed them? How many people can claim to, how many coteries can claim to have been lost in one of Zelios's mazes and escaped not once, but a multiplicity of incidents? How many coteries understand the weight and power of a lodestone from Enoch, the first city, Cain's city? Then, most glaringly, how many coteries can comfortably straddle reputable kindred society and everything that is the antithesis of it, delving into the circulatory system, associating with dustborn, trafficking with spirits, doing battle with the Hakata, surviving the Wan Kwai more than once, destroying swaths of the city, and possessing a dragon's nest as their haven. This coterie has been the stuff of legends. They have done the impossible and survived on a multiplicity of incidences so often as for it to become habitual. And you know what they say, if something is too good to be true, it usually isn't. So there are those out there in the night who see their position and their continued existence, especially in light of them having survived, outrun, and outlived, existed, a blood hunt. And not just a simple blood hunt from some podunk town in the middle of the Nevada desert. No, they survived a blood hunt from the capital city of the Camarilla in the continental United States. So yes, the target that has always been on the coterie's back has lit up like landing lights, like runway lights. It is the golden path forward to establishing oneself as a serious member of kindred society, someone and something to not be trifled nor trafficked with. And the old aphorism of to be the man you must beat the man holds very true in kindred society, because while the number one rule is don't get caught, a slightly less known and thoroughly more utilized rule is you keep what you kill. And so as we prepare to dive into the maelstrom and whirlwind that is their lives, that is their existences, it is their night, picking up mise-en-scene as Lucio gives foot chase, as Lali prepares to decide what path forward they'll take, as Hestia and Miriam come to grips with everything is not as right as it should seem, and the party to celebrate one of the our shelter members getting on their feet, re-entering society, taking place inside the shelter itself. So, before we dive completely in, are there any questions, suggestions, hypotheses, or corners we need to round off? Silence. Glorious, glorious silence, letting us know that we are on the same page, if not the same chapter and verse. So I'd like to say, in bated expectations of all of the wild, wondrous things that you all will wreak this evening, and in light of all of the wild, wondrous things you've wreaked and reaped thus far, thank you. From the top of my mind to the bottom of my heart and all places in between. This has been an unprecedented pleasure, and we are officially beginning season 19 of Soup City Sins, episode 4. Rancorous anger, galling exasperation. Everyone's well aware and abreast of where we are in the middle of the maelstrom of what battle is. It is one of those things that all the movies make seem like it's a great thing. All the movies make it seem like if you are the protagonist, that even pained, even run over, even horribly misused by your situation, that things will work out for the best. It makes it seem as if combat, verbal, emotional, physical, is something that can be gotten over. It can be grown past, even if you grow accustomed to it. Even in the modern idea of the damaged hero, much like Macbeth, that you can survive it, that you can outlast it, that you can become a better version of yourself through it, dealing with the trauma of it, dealing with the fallout of it, and making amends, having a list of persons to make an apology to. That is in fact very much not what battle does. Like every trauma, like every drama, it leaves scars. Like every trauma, even healing it, even mending it, it stays there with you. And like every trauma, and every drama, it teaches you certain survivor's traits when coming abreast of it again. In this particular case, in this particular night, one of those survivor traits, one of those lessons learned the very hard way, has Lucio running headlong into the dark, having him run headlong towards and hopefully past the shelter, pursuing an invisible enemy that could attack him at a moment's notice, with him relying on the awareness of something that doesn't exist, with him trusting in the ineffable invisible. It is literally the definition of faith, because there's no proof that the specter nearest him, trailing him, trying to attach itself to the warmth, fading though it is, of his existence in this world. There's no proof that it's there. And what is faith but believing in the unprovable? Faith is faith because it does in fact believe in the unprovable. There's no way to verify it. It's the core essence of it. And that situation that we find Lucio in, his surprising speed eating up the ground beneath him, his gaze focused there in the middle space, looking, scanning, trying to discern something that is indiscernible. And that's where we find Lolly. That's something that is in fact indiscernible. Seeing the myriad multiplicities of forever cascading around her, some in brighter, closer focus, some fading away as the possibilities grow slimmer and slimmer. That's also where we find Miriam and Hestia. Hestia, primarily because this place, even in its most exposed, even in its most damaged, has always been a sanctuary. Even invaded by the entire hoary horde of all of the myriad of worlds touching this one, it has been a sanctuary. It has also been an anchor around her neck, dragging her further into the depths of darkness. Safe, sound, secure, and peaceful. Even if it means and has meant cutting herself off from the wide world around her. Yet now, the walls that have kept out the bulk of danger, the walls that have kept them safe, seem to be less of a sanctuary and more of a prison. For Miriam, this is a habitual event. Up until tying herself to this coterie for safety, her world and her life was relatively peaceful. But since tying herself to this coterie on a multiplicity of various instances, she has been beset by the unknown, by the unknowable. Since tying herself to this coterie, her very real and precious convictions towards the protection and continuation of life have been tried time and time again. She has been pushed to the very precipice, and just as she begins teetering over, something keeps her from falling completely into that abyss that awaits her. Something has kept her safe, secure, and wholly damaged by everything that she's experienced. As if she's in a holding pattern that will only break when she gets to that absolute apex of problems. When she gets to that final straw that shatters the camel's back. And so, beginning alphabetically, what is it that we are doing?
Apparently Hess was trying to work her way back towards getting in the shelter, into the haven. Sorry, she's already in the shelter. Working her way from the rubble back towards where she left Miriam, because she has to let Miriam know that they're under attack, so that's what she was. She texted her, but she didn't hear anything back, so she's going to check on her.
The funny thing about safety, sanctuary, security, is that it very much is also the same, utilizes the same materials, the same qualities as prisons. It uses the same isolation that is often used as punishment. The shuttered, boarded up, and dilapidated, purposefully looking portions of the haven are now more of an impediment. The rubble of last night's destruction, the understanding and realization that you all have been infested with rodents and other things, have left their signs everywhere. And while the internal floor plan of the shelter itself, the actual haven, is just as much of a maze as it has always been, those dark corners are no longer heartwarming. They're no longer signs that you are in fact secure. Those dark corners, dead drops, blind alleys hold danger. Because there in that darkness, there very could be any number of things, starting with the small and squeaky, all the way up to the large and foreboding. There in that darkness around the next turn, there could be something waiting. And while having the ability to choke down good sense and common reason, very much holding on to a fool's bravery that nothing scares you, that nothing can touch you. In these few moments of moving carefully forward to where you last left Miriam, the truth of the matter is, that old aphorism, that old chestnut, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. being brave is not the lack and absence of fear. Being brave means being afraid and doing it anyway. Being unafraid means that you are unaware as to how much danger you are in. And with all of the things that the shelter has survived, that very much is a path towards destruction. It's very much a path towards folly. Not being aware as to how dangerous the situation you are in is a sure way to find yourself victim to a pit trap. It's very much the way to find yourself in someone else's snare. It is very much a way to find yourselves outside of this world, safe and sound, secure with those beings that have passed through your long life, existing outside this world. Would you be so kind as to roll your resolve plus composure?
I think she was at 100. That's just the hard thing about having everybody rolling in that one channel. Is that what I'm gonna go with? Or is there a way to find out?
No, that's one of the downsides of trusting you all to keep notes. There's no way without utilizing either Realm of Darkness or Canoe to create your character sheet, and you can keep track of it throughout play. But scrolling back to last session, which was the 6th, if I'm not, no, it was 8th, I'm sorry. Yes, last session was the 8th, and looking at the rolls from the 8th, yes, there was only one hunger throughout all of your rolls on the 8th.
Now that you have made me feel like a naughty child.
Not my intent, I do apologize. 2 successes. Close. So, very, very close. As you round a hall, take it to the stairs to get to Miriam, you mistakenly took the wrong stairwell. This one is set up to seem as if it is in fact solid. So as you place your very dainty and small step upon it, it falls from beneath your feet. You know what waits down there for you. There is a wall, a floor covered in sharpened iron rods. Not enough to normally stop permanently a kindred, but even dead, falling upon a punji trap is painful, especially when the rods are gnarled and have barbs to hold you in place, meaning you would tear flesh and bone to get free. Some
Cat's grace or rapid reflexes be helpful right now.
very, very much so. And as you keep from falling and moving back away, watching more of this floor fall into the space beneath it, as many warm thoughts and dangerous dark thoughts as you have about Simone, you understand the need for security. But now, very much now, in this moment, your security is a weighted blanket that is on fire. Snug, secure, and yet horribly, horribly restricting. Backing away, moving across the floor, down to the other end and up the other stairwell, takes you precious moments. Those precious moments of you peering into the darkness, listening for scrabbling squeaks and steps and anything that would discern that there's something else out there in the dark that is not you, and finding that every echoing step of yours, every shuntering fall of dust causes thoughts. Are you underestimating the danger? Are you not seeing the picture clearly? And then the mystery and puzzle of it all spirals up and out of your imagination, filling all of the space around you. You find yourself at the doorway where Miriam rests inside, where your guest, your human guest, is inside, where the lights inside are like a siren calling you forward. You've arrived safe and sound, or as sound as you can be. And speaking of safe and sound, Lolly, invisibility has its uses. Invisibility has its purposes. It allows you to watch the world around you. It allows you time and safety to be unconsidered, to be a factor outside of view. Moving towards the shelter, would you be so kind just to roll your what is your wits and awareness?
It's a total of 7 dice. On the last episode, I was in the office.
I thought you were still outside, but yes, okay, so you're in the office. Sorry about that. A little confused on my part.
I forgot about that when you brought it up earlier.
So you've already made it inside. You've already successfully made it through the shelter. You were privy to the birthday cake being passed out. It's always an interesting, curious thing. Birthday cake flavored cake. It's an interesting conundrum, considering that every cake that's had on birthday is birthday cake. Yet there is specifically a flavor, a sugary mix of things that is called birthday cake. And that is what they were having. From what you could tell, it was a light angel food style cake with a mountain of frosting on its sides and then between the layers. And they were comporting themselves as if this was the most important thing that has ever happened. In light of them almost killing a Chicago police officer, in light of them dealing with their own particular traumas, the humans of the shelter take the time to celebrate the small victories. God knows, if you were to compare all of the horror stories of what led most of them here, both staff and client, you don't think that even you would be able to find the happiness of it all. There's a similarity of shared pain and traumatic moments that threatens to break them every time they decide to look away from it. Every time they take their eyes off the prize of survival, you can see it in their gaze that it threatens to well itself up and swallow them whole. Yet here they are celebrating in light of everything that's befallen them. Their deceased member of their staff, the trauma that they've dealt with, and the violence of just yesterday. Their outsider positions, because there's no one who works here or lives here that is not comfortably outside of their own society, much like the kindred even that operate from the shelter. They are just to the left of what is expected. They are just outside the comfortable realm of kindred community. Hell, they don't even go to Baby Chorus concerts. And there's that big one that is to happen next week. If it wasn't happening in Milwaukee, you definitely would be there. But the idea of taking to the expressways to survive the travel from here to Milwaukee is laughable at best. So considerations, thoughts, weighing on her. What is it that she is attempting to do?
She will take a series of deep, unnecessary breaths to try to steel herself. She will scan her surroundings with her supernatural senses. And she will move on trying to find Hestia or Miriam or even Lucio.
So, leaving the office, it's hard to not get caught up even superficially in the celebrations in the offing. They literally are doing their abject best, and Amalia went out of her way to somehow concoct a cake so large that anyone who wanted not just a piece but several pieces might have more than enough opportunity to do so. Does she remain unseen? Does she take part in the happiness? Because when's the next time she may have the opportunity to be even superficially happy? If she was to look at her magic 8-ball, what would it say?
The situation itself is tempting, but she knows that at least one person has had their memory rewritten, and almost the rest of them have the trauma of seeing her carry the bloody knife. So she's not going to ruin anything. These people have it bad enough, so let them enjoy their little moment of happiness. She'll probably linger a minute and watch, but then she'll get back on task.
The play acting of life is amazing. There's no reason for any of them to really be happy, knowing that tomorrow they could die. They could be hit by a truck. Any number of things could go graphically, horribly wrong. This person who is gaining their footing and re-entering society could fail the very next day. They could be fired. They could lose the apartment. It could be a fire. Any number of things could take this fleeting moment away from them, and yet sparing the few minutes to watch them. The importance of it is impossible to deny. In this moment, they are a community unto themselves, truly celebrating the success of one of their own kind, one of their own members. There's no falsity to it. It's almost as if in this moment, in the act of doing so, they are able to freeze the world, to stop it from spinning just a few minutes, just a little respite. And perhaps that same idea of galvanizing the coterie in a paused moment could in fact help them, could in fact get them to understand whatever it is that's most important to them. But getting outside is going to be a chore. With the party in full bloom, there are not many people leaving. Not from the front door anyway. You notice that Amalia makes her frequent trips out the back to have a quick puff that takes the entirety of her cigarette. But other than that, it is a difficult proposition, timing things. Yeah.
So she's having no luck finding Miriam or Hestia then?
No, she knows that she'd have to get into the Haven, and there's the second floor parking entrance into the actual Haven. It's a secret entrance that is fairly easy enough to find, and she knows there's more entrances besides the door through the office, but if they are, they would be outside. Getting outside is the issue without her risking her invisibility. She can try leaving through the kitchen door, or she can try to, tempt fate.
Most of her existence is tempting fate, so she will go that route.
Excellent. If you'd be so kind, just go ahead and roll your composure and stealth. There's a there's a Marx Brother routine where in Duck Soup, a mirror breaks, and because of the setup of the situation, they both have to masquerade as the other person to figure out whether the other person really is the reflection of it. It's the same long form version of the shtick that they did when meeting Lucille Ball on I Love Lucy. It's a similar thing that Lolly has to master in the blink of an eye to move with a person close enough so that she doesn't have to use the door, touch anything without them ever realizing not only is she not there, where they don't incidentally bump into her, because she has to be behind them as they exit the door, close enough to be on their heels without touching them, close enough to ride their coattails without them ever noticing. It is an act of mind that, it's not for the faint of heart. It is not the easiest thing to consider, nor the easiest thing to pull off. And just as she makes it through the door, the woman that she followed out stops in the doorway, causing her to come touch to touch. Would you be so kind as to determine whether the woman responds like most would when feeling something that isn't there or shouldn't be there with an untold number of years of trauma? Would you be so kind as to roll 4d10 for me, please? Your goal is to meet or exceed your 2 successes. You've never seen someone with so that's not dead have so many years of experience, because as you come into contact with her, instead of responding like most would, looking over her shoulder or otherwise trying to fight the idea that something that wasn't there is there, she literally combat rolls to her left and comes up with the most serrated, bent, rusted, well cared after, well, at least well kept blade. The motion is smooth, it's silky even. Looking at her, one would never expect something so small to be so temporarily fierce. Looking at her, one wouldn't expect someone so superficially unthreatening to be in fact quite dangerous. You, my friend, need to roll your dexterity plus obfuscate to remain unhidden. Your DC is in fact 3. And if you don't remain hidden, you suddenly materialize there in front of her from the contact. You suddenly appear as if you were teleported down by the Starship Enterprise. And there's nothing there. She waves the knife, preparing to cut whatever was attempting to sneak up on her. Even here in this sanctuary, in this bit of safety, survivor traits don't disappear. And the quizzical frown on her face lets you know that she's been in similar situations with enough regularity that she knows the script by heart. She knows what's supposed to be happening right now, and it's not happening. The cigarette that she was attempting to light up in the doorway, all but forgotten as her lip trembles with the idea that perhaps maybe she really is losing her grip. Perhaps she really is losing the plot. Perhaps, maybe, possibly, potentially. And you're sure, Lucio, that he went this way based on what the Spectre told you, based on what you are aware of as you come barreling out of the dark like the literal and figurative bat driven from hell. There's one of the members of the shelter in the front door, a blade in hand as she attacks the air around her. She is the sad, broken version of that old joke about the mage in that role-playing game. What are you using your fireball for? I attacked the darkness! But this is not that. This is attacking those invisible demons of her mind, clearly. This is... And then you hear the Spectre, right there, they're invisible right there!
Oh, out of character. Oh no. Lucio has no way of knowing, does he?
Knowing what? The Spectre found something invisible?
Well... if that's what he tells him... He's going to be running through the door, going past the woman, to pursue wherever Edwin directs him.
I see.
As far as he knows, whatever Edwin sees is what he's going after.
You've named it. You never named ghosts. You give them value. You put emotion into it, because there's nothing so sweet as having your name said by someone who considers you, by someone who, if you are lucky, might love you. But your name is important. Your name. And then we have the present issue. Realizing that there's something invisible there, Lucio turns, skidding, swinging wide as if he is drifting around a corner of some track. His momentum barely lost as he barrels towards the door. Now, the woman swinging the knife is there. Does he throw caution to the wind and immediately try to barrel through the door itself, or does he offer something? Because she's clearly threatening something, and it's probably,
He'll just shout quickly, "Out of the way," or a little more authoritatively than that. He'll shout that and then just continue moving forward. Since he doesn't know exactly where this invisible specter is, or this invisible kindred is, he doesn't exactly know when or where to stop, so he's just going to charge straight through. Partly to hopefully hit something, partly also to not make it seem like he's a crazy person swinging at the air blindly in front of one of the kind.
That being the case, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your strength plus brawl? Lolly, as the woman swings her weapon, you hear Lucio out of the darkness rushing towards you like a train, yelling as he does. If you would like to take the impact, do nothing. If you would like to move out of the way without catching attention to yourself, you would be able to do so with a dexterity and athletics +1. Because he does not know where you are, nor does anyone else, including yourself. If you look down at your limbs, they're not really there. It's always kind of a head trip. You know where your hands are, but you don't really know what they're exactly doing. They get taken on a life of their own. They're like the little man inside the refrigerator that does what he does when you close the door.
Just for the sake of being completely fair, does Lucio get any sort of penalty since this is someone invisible he's basically trying to run over?
No. He's charging the door. You made it so that he's literally charging the door. The idea is that he will hopefully hit whatever it is that the crazy woman with the jagged knife is swinging at. So, Lolly, your DC is 2. You have a +1. What is it that you're doing? Oh,
Getting out of the way.
That was your roll. Okay. I misread that. I have the phone up to handle the dice rolls and the screen up for everything else. So, as Lucio screams, "Get out of the way," and charges through the door, you strangely
Get out of the way.
and stealthily, speedily and skillfully take 2 small, large steps to your left, and he goes past like a blur, like Superman running into a phone booth to tear open his button down and reveal his pajamas from his home world. Those of you who don't live near trains or near expressways wouldn't quite know what that feels like. Those of you who do know what it's like to get to stand right on the very edge of the platform as an express train is going past. Those of you who do live close to those things know what it's like to feel the bass from all of the cars and trucks on the expressway as they manage to stay at the speed limit. This is not even the moment when they're able to just let loose and drive. This is the moments where they're not quite bumper to bumper, but traffic is flowing and the bass that's echoing up and off of the pavement below you and off the walls around it buffets you as you're crossing over. This is that moment for Lolly. The strength and power that Lucio brings to bear in almost every situation is very much the essence of destruction. What is in his path is all but destroyed. The door you can hear screaming in protest as he tears it open, moving into the space. The ground beneath his feet sounds exactly like it does on those movies where the cowboys' footfalls sound loud over the wooden planks. It is a thing of beauty if your definition of beautiful is the destruction of something. The unleashed power in that is not something to be trifled with nor taken lightly. And Lucio, you tear through the door. There's nothing collides with you. You don't collide with anything else, but as you make it inside the door, you see the banners and the streamers, you see this congratulations. You notice that one of the members, as has happened previously but fairly infrequently, has rejoined society. It's an effective graduation party of sorts, but it's one that each member of the shelter takes into themselves and gives back joy. No matter what issues they have or are dealing with in this moment, the community forms a gestalt being of actual happiness and adoration for that person that has chosen and worked towards and found their way back into society. It's a testament to the good the shelter does. It's a testament to the actual community that exists. Because if one was paying attention, you would notice that beneath that happiness, there are those who will miss them. There are those who don't expect them to make it. There are those who are only thinking of themselves. When is it my turn? Or please don't let it ever be my turn. If you're paying attention, if you're able to read and intuit what lies just beneath the surface. And for all of their happiness for the person, there is a myriad of issues that they are each dealing with. As you rush in, coming to a skidding stop, having not collided with anything, Donnell catches sight of you. Elmira looks up from her administration to one of the younger families who, well, are in fact a family and shouldn't be homeless, but lo and behold, there they are. Donnell smiles, this pained, open smile that says, welcome, you're safe here. Even though he knows you, he recognizes you. There, like everyone else, are many issues there beneath the surface. And as he's between guests and has a plate of cake, he crosses the distance and hands one to you. Just sits it in your hand, the fork standing straight up off the top of the cake, and he slaps your shoulder. Good of you to make it. You know where my sister, you know where Miss Green is?
Oh, I was actually trying to find her just now. I just had some news I had to share with her. Well, you wouldn't know, you were asking me. Donnell, do you know?
No, it's fine. She'll probably show up. Eric's making his way out today. He found a nice little basement, garden apartment over on Burling and Diversey, south of here. Not really in Lincoln Park, but close enough to count. He's got a position there with DePaul. He'll be on their overnight cleaning crew. Come in, give him congratulations. Hey, Eric, this is one of the guys that Miss Green has for extra security and volunteering, just like I was telling you about the girls. And he all but pulls you into the circle of people congratulating Eric on his moving into another state, his moving back into society. And as you look at Eric, as you're trying to decide on whether you're going to stay, whether you're going to leave, whether you're going to break off, how you're going to do it, all those thoughts tumbling and jumbling inside your head, it is impossible to not see yourself in him. Dark hair, thin, muscled beneath it all, wiry, taller than one might expect. He's about half to a quarter of an inch shorter than you are. And there's a darkness around the eyes that only comes from someone who is willing to do because they feel, believe, or otherwise have the notion that it is all that's important. Someone who is self-possessed, someone who has the willingness and wariness to execute all manner of things. You know it when you see it. You see that fire in Eric right now, that willingness to do whatever it takes. And speaking of doing whatever it takes, Miriam, you've never had something try to do in this manner. Normally there's a catalyst. You've dealt with something dead, you left your mark on something that was formerly living, you've managed to cross a boundary with something and given it a doorway or a path, but this is not that. This isn't, it's sad to realize that you are educated enough to know that this is not something spiritual. This is not a specter nor a wraith. This is something else, something somehow dirtier, because it is in fact something on this side of the veil. This is something this side of the shroud. There is something happening through the nearly almost conscious detective. No one should ever have to know that difference and know that there is a difference, but you do. You know what it's like to have the unwanted, unneeded attention of wraiths and specters and spirits.
He is going to just sit calmly and quietly because she's a better target than, say if it would leave the room and get at the people living downstairs. Until Hestia comes in.
Would you be so kind as to roll your resolve plus composure for me, please? As it prowls around those invisible walls around your mind, as it pokes at the essence of you seeking a way in. It's like an infection. It's looking for the path of easiest travel. It's looking for an opening in your skin or a less than protected mucous membrane to crawl inside and make its way further into your system to break free of the jail, the border patrol that it forms. It is looking, seeking, palpitating your spiritual flesh to gain access to your mind. Oh.
That's no good. This isn't a willpower roll, correct?
It is not. You can use willpower if you like.
Much better.
And it finds it. It finds a path in, something that you hadn't really considered. Because how do you consider the best way to circle the wagons around your mind? How do you know the best way to protect your thoughts? And it's a fleeting thing. It's a bit of nothing. It doesn't really make sense. But you remember the last time that you saw Mama Walden? They, as always, had given the benediction. And the last time you saw Mama Walden was they were saying they were going to get to the bottom of things. They didn't want to get Urzuli involved because that would be playing those people's same game. She's going to get to the bottom of it. She's going to make sure that you, the Bahari, were not attacked again. There's no reason why that thought would be the way in, but it was something about a being having reached their limit. Like, there was literally, Mama Walde literally had gotten to the point of willing to hire a security team to deal with the growing attacks against the Bahar. It had gotten to the point where Mama Walde couldn't spread the good word. There was no joy in their being. There was just this seething, unbridled anger, their willingness to, their need to protect the garden, their need to do whatever was required to protect. That was the last time you saw them. In fact, as far as you know, that was the last time that anyone saw them. Them trying to do the right thing, trying to do the best thing, trying to figure out a way to protect the Baham from all of the growing attacks against them. And it almost sneaks in. You catch it at the last second. It rounds the corner, climbs over the hedge, is working its way through the garden maze, and you see it there, that presence, that feeling of the other. And you keep it from getting across the moat, keep it from climbing the castle, you keep it from building a siege machine, and you are once again wholly yourself. And the door opens. Asha, you've seen Miriam deal with all manner of blood, guts, gore, and otherwise. Perhaps not the most violent in dealing with those things, but she has had a strange internal fortitude, keeping herself whole, unbothered, unfazed, sticking very much to her convictions and her drives in the face of every adversity. And here she sits in the corner with the detective on the table. You can tell that he is in fact sleeping, not simply comatose. What is it that you're doing?
S is holding on to her bloody open side, kind of wavering on her feet a little bit. Oh, nobody's answering cell phones nowadays. Do not. We're under fucking attack. Fucking Nosferatu.
Miriam will just put a finger to her lips and shh. Our friend has a friend.
She shows Miriam her bloody hand and the hole, but doesn't say anything else. Well, then why are you in here with it?
Because I can keep it occupied as opposed to occupying itself with our friends downstairs.
Minx has paused for a minute and just kind of head tilt, like, really? I get that. But there is the physical fact that there are Nosferatu invisibly circling shelter and attempting to get in, and they have stabbies and are stabbying us. Or mostly me. I don't know where the fuck Lucio is.
We will stand up and set about doing what she can about Hestia's wound. Old habits and whatnot. Doesn't matter that it's dead flesh.
Asher, would you be so kind as to roll your intelligence on occult?
Wait, me or Miriam?
You.
Asher.
Okay.
Miriam, did Miriam ever pick up any occult knowledge as she began keeping a catalog and comparing what she is experiencing?
Yeah, she's up to 2.
Oh wow, she's been raiding Hessia's
Right.
when they weren't paying attention. Please guys go ahead and roll your intelligence plus occult.
I don't think the dice ball likes me tonight.
Don't worry, I don't believe it likes anyone tonight. That's funny that way. Let's start with the 2 dots of knowledge. If the ghoul is being used as a catalyst or a conduit, that means that there is something else on the other side, someone else on the other side, perceiving through his unconscious senses. Their grip on this moment and their ability to reach through him would only grow if he has access to the fullness of his senses, not just scent, not just hearing, not just whatever touches him, but if he's able to see or move. Whatever is using him as a conduit will only grow stronger if he grows actually conscious. And then Miriam. Yes, you make the best target. But there's only so long you could stop the flood. You are literally sticking your finger in the dike, adding to the pressure of the water building on the other side. When that detective wakes up, whatever is pushing against your mental walls of Jericho will in fact be doing so not with broken tree limbs and twigs and branches, but with a full-fledged siege machine. They will only grow stronger if that detective wakes up, which is a dangerous proposition, because being forced into a chemical coma and then being brought mostly back has its own dangers to the human psyche, has its own dangers to the human body that's been through the stress and trauma that his has. Stab wounds, missing appendages, and the sheer trauma of fighting for one's life, the adrenaline and endorphins and the come down, and it's just a mess inside that body. Not that you should care, but whatever is attempting to use him should, and they don't. That is a very troubling idea. Because from everything you've read, everything you managed to glean, there has to be some connection. Doesn't always have to be positive, but that connection is never easily built. Hell, it took 3 months for a spirit that manifested through your guilt and the thing in Lucio that's feeding off of the anger that he breathes. It's an investment of time, effort, and energies to form that connection. Why would you just toss it away?
As Miriam works on Estia's wounds, she is going to frown.
Just looks at Miriam. I know. Since they like spying so fucking much, maybe you would like to send them a message. Or maybe cut forward. One or the other. I don't like any of what has happened. Don't fucking attack my home for any reason. Don't send your little pets in where they're not fucking wanted. Maybe it's time to teach somebody a lesson. What do you want to do? I'm tired of hiding inside. They snuck up on me the first fucking time. They're not gonna do it again.
I would rather not injure him further, but I can put him back to sleep. Could be dangerous.
have a lot of time. We had to make this decision now. Obviously, the safest thing for him to not be at all accessible to whatever the fuck is controlling him right now and trying to get inside you.
Wouldn't be just me.
I'm aware of that fact, so like I said, we need to figure this the fuck out.
Yes.
Because wait,
Do you have your cell phone on you?
yeah,
It
she's had her
rings.
cell phone.
You've never had
Better be busy though.
You've never had your cell phone ring with a number that is literally all stars.
Well, it seems they got the message. And she flicks open the phone onto speaker and holds it up.
Hey guys, says Salt. You recognize her voice from anywhere. The annoying little hacker that worked for Damien. Not G, the other one, the quiet one, the raspy one, the one that was overly happy electronically.
What can I do for you?
Oh my god, you are people of the hour. You know, Damien has his concert that he's getting to, but he's wondering what you guys like to meet. There's a few things that he and Martin have found out because of, I don't know, some blonde friend, they say. And you all need to be ready. So I'm just going to give you the GPS location. They'll be popping through your phone any second.
Meeting sounds fine, but we're kind of in the middle of something.
Oh, don't worry. The police will be there shortly. Whatever's happening will disappear.
We don't want the police here. See, that's the problem. Oh, shit.
Oh, I already called them. Damien said just clear the area, give you guys cover. One of your blonde friends told someone who told someone who told someone. And so Damien and Martin would like you all to be on, well, I don't know exactly what they want, but you know. So the police will be there in a minute. They'll be giving you guys a ride. If you don't have a car, it would be Detective Devereaux and her partner. They're undercover detectives. But they'll be there shortly.
She looks at Miriam like, anything to add?
We're apparently under attack by invisible kindred.
Oh yeah, we know that. Your blonde friend told someone who told someone. So yeah, you guys are getting a lifeline. And
Great.
yeah, so
Can you add transport for an unconscious
Please. Sorry.
ghoul?
I'm not a magician, and I'm definitely not Uber. Oh my god. Look, see, fine, whatever.
You're the best. I'll give you a tattoo.
I will hold you to that, and we'll see how you do. All right, see you guys in a bit.
Great. Thanks.
As I hung up, or just see you guys in a bit, she hits the end button, and the face she makes. Oh. What the absolute.
Was, but yeah.
Get him back out. Because we need to get ready to go. And we need to find Lucio. I need to go change so that I can go downstairs. Holy shit.
Okay.
That's what she does. She leaves Miriam for a couple minutes just to go grab a different shirt so that she's obviously not bleeding through her clothes.
Okay.
As Hestia leaves Miriam alone once more, the signs of consciousness, the signs of wakefulness begin to pile upon themselves. You know that it won't be long until they're fully conscious. And speaking of fully conscious, staring into the face of Eric, Lucio, feeling as if the world itself has all of their eyes focused on you, as if just by dint of surviving death that you have to impart some wisdom, some cheery toast that is deeper than it seems, some way of stopping Eric from following in your path, some way to stop someone who is re-entering society from once more getting lost or getting off their path, falling into the darkness that has all but consumed you. It is a scary world out there and getting darker by the second.
Eric, I'm really happy for you that you're taking this chance. I gotta admit, I've never been really good with words, but you know who was? Hestia. And she really should be here right now. Mind if I take about 5 minutes to go grab her?
You know where she's at? Oh my god, I wanted to say bye to her, but I'm gonna hang out here most of the night. But I'd like to wake up in my bed. Not that my bed here isn't great, but you don't know what it's like. I left home at 15. I've never had a bed until I got here, and now I actually have a bed. I have a roof that's mine. And you hear a few, yeah, man, yeah, and cheers and congratulations rise up as he says that. There's an unprecedented sense of wealth and validation as he says that. He still considers the bed that he was assigned here his. He still considers this is his community, but that's his bed as well. It's solely his bed. It's solely his space. And there's something not quite inescapable in that, because right upstairs in places that most people think is completely dilapidated and is just run down and just boarded up to keep people out because of the dangers they're in, is a space that is Lucio's. There's a space that is Miriam's. There is a space that is Hestia's. There are still remnants of the space that was Julian's. There's still the space that's remnant that was Dizzy's. You all have not only your own space elsewhere out there in the night, but this space is yours. It's home away from home. It is. And as those thoughts swirl, having built an instantaneous get out of jail free card and the need to go find Hestia, there is the understanding of how you're going to do that. The door through the office is closed. That leaves the garage and that leaves the morgue entrance, both of which are easy enough to get to, but out of the way, back out there in the night.
Where did we leave the unconscious school? Was that in the morgue?
No, you guys took them upstairs and Miriam was tending to him.
Lucio's going to head there because he has the thought that priest, that Nosferatu priest, he did say something about taking something from him. and getting revenge for that. And Lucio has a feeling that it might be referring to that ghoul. So, unless that priest is planning to just slaughter every single living thing in this shelter, then his next best guess is that he's going to try and save his ghoul. So maybe he can intercept him along that path. So he will be trying to head there.
There's an old wives' tale as you exit back out into the night. You see a few downward turned expressions as you leave. As a member of the staff that is decently well liked, as the brother of one of the more favorite volunteers, you have a place in their hearts and in their minds. Seeing you leave, even though with the excuse to go get Hestia, is kind of like watching your paid entertainment leave the party early. Yeah, they might be going outside to smoke a cigarette or what have you, but there's also the fact that they took their musical instruments with them. Makes you a little worried. So as you head around the corner, up the block towards the secret entrance, down that ramp into darkness that leads to the morgue, you take it for granted. You don't really consider it all that difficult, whereas most would not be able to pierce the darkness around you and get lost in all of that inky black. You are able to see through it as if it was in fact not a hurdle at all. It was not even an issue. That, however, is completely different for you, Lolly. As he heads into the darkness, it feels as if he is being swallowed and separated from you by the darkness around you. But as you take that ramp down toward the morgue, is there anything that you would like to say to him?
If we can get to a point where it's just me and him, she will scan the area real quick with her sense the unseen, and then she will drop out of obfuscate with a simple "Hey."
There's something invisible over his left shoulder, bobbing along. You get the impression of something male, something middle-aged and not completely real.
Okay, so I'm just seeing shit again, so I'm not going to worry about that. Things that are imaginary can't hurt me much. So I drop out of obfuscate and say, "Hey."
Lucio whips around real quick, about ready to fuck something up until he realizes it's just Loli, and says, "Oh my fucking god, do you have any idea how bad of an idea that was just now?"
I needed to tell you you're in danger.
Thank you.
And
I appreciate
it. On perfectly timed scripting. The moment she says, "I need to tell you are in danger," the sounds of sirens explode down the block. It's Chicago. You're accustomed to sirens, but them being this close and that annoying half on, half off that the ambulances do, not even the constant air raid sirens that the police cars have, the ambulances use the most annoying variation of a siren. And the fact that it is not moving away from you and is in fact growing closer and closer lets you know that it is coming towards the shelter.
Oh, fuck, not again.
Maybe
All
we
right.
should get out of here. Where's Hestia?
I don't know, I'm trying to find her. But listen to me. There's some angry, pissed off Nosferatu dressed like a priest.
Or Drift.
Okay, you already know. Great. He's here. He almost killed me. And I am trying to find out where he's heading right now, because apparently he can turn invisible. Speaking of which, Edwin, where the fuck did he go?
Who's Edwin?
You mean you were friends with this invisible one that was by the door?
Yes. Wait. I thought you said he was by the door.
No, I said the invisible thing. One of you, the vampires, was by the door.
I really don't have time to explain everything to you, but I'll just keep it simple. If they're invisible and also very ugly, they're the people we're looking for.
That's kind of subjective.
I try not to judge all of the makeup and the fake hair color, but if you find it appealing, I think we have a different definition of what ugly is.
If they don't look human.
That makes sense.
Anyway.
We should probably not linger in one place too long.
Right. Let's go find where that ghoul is. I have a feeling he might be heading towards them to try and rescue them.
Okay, well, I'm going to stay visible, so you have to keep me from getting killed.
Okay. I will do my best.
She will offer her hand like it's a deal that you've just made.
So we'll quickly shake her hand and then run.
But you said you all were already dead.
Now is not the time, Edwin.
Wait, you see him too?
Yes.
She will just nod at you.
We have a deal. He is going to take me to Soldier's Field, and he's going to help me find my family. And all I have to do is keep an eye on the invisible things that... And he goes... Still. Not the still of a statue, but far more unerringly than that. It's the realization as to the power of where you all have effectively entered. Even here in the morgue, it being part of the actual haven, the blast furnace strength of spiritual manifestations and energies, the doorways into all of the other worlds abutting our own, is not an easy thing. You've all grown comfortable, accustomed to it. You don't notice it anymore. You've gone nose blind to it. But a specter, a spirit only loosely connected to this place being the center of it all, is like a tourist walking into Union Station or Grand Central Station. The old architecture, the feeling of age is weighing down on him, and the hustle and bustle. You've got humans and less of all stripes moving past him on their destination, on their way. It's akin to coming in to Chicago through Midway. It's a great little airport versus coming in through O'Hare. It is a difference of magnitudes. And this is where he is, first time in the central point of the Dragon Nest, the ley line nexus that is in fact the Coteries Haven. And its effects are not small at all. He becomes more vibrant. It's almost as if by osmosis he is growing, or has grown stronger, having just crossed the boundary into this space.
He's not going to explode, is he?
No, you should be fine.
Edwin, are you going to explode?
No, I'm not gonna explode. And you see a iron rebar poking through him. There's blood trailing down his chest. And another portion of him is torn open. And he's looking around like a kid who has been told, pick out anything you want as they walk into the candy shop. It is so many good goodies here. Too many to decide. It's not decision fatigue, it's decision mania that is possessing him, as he is filled to the brim, plus some, with the energies abounding.
Lolly will turn away, not wanting to see his death marks, and she will yell at the top of her lungs for Hestia.
You're far enough away where it won't be damaging. But Hestia did have her heightened senses up last session, so there's no way that they don't hear you.
I don't think she's here in this room.
Just to clarify, are we in the room with the ghoul?
No, you're in the morgue, making your way up and through the building.
Then Lucille will reply to Lolly. You're right, let's keep moving.
All right, let's check the study, Colonel Mustard.
I get the impression you're not taking this as seriously as you might need to be.
I'm guessing that meant that Hess was hearing the conversation.
You're hearing Lolly call for you.
I've never seen myself die this way.
So, hearing that, having just managed to pull a new shirt over her top, she throws back on her duster and heads towards the sound. Not wanting to yell like Marco Polo because it just makes them far too vulnerable to her, like just like echolocation. You're giving your location away, so she's going to head towards the sound. But on the way towards the sound, she's going to say to Miriam, "I know we need to get out of here, but I hear Lolly, so I'm going to gather them up so that we're all together the best we can be." As she walks past.
You might not see it, but Miriam gives her a thumb up.
Traversing the dark, even blessed with heightened senses and sense the unseen and all of the other myriad of supernatural senses you all are able to challenge, does not remove the fact that you know that something invisible out there wants you, at the very minimum, harmed and most likely probably completely and totally finally dead. It turns the most recently comfortable darkness into a pit of paranoia. Each dark shadow, anything that's just out of view, could very much be something purposely making themselves unseen. Every blind corner could very well be the last thing you sense, the last thing you detect. It takes a few minutes, but as you are heading up and Hesha's heading down, you all meet roughly at a midpoint, one of the few safe stairwells, and there you are, Lolly, Lucio, and Hesha.
So she goes, "Where the fuck have you been? We are under attack."
You're in danger,
She
and
pulls
the
up her
police are
shirt
coming.
to show them the wound. Yeah, at that part. And yeah, I know the police are coming. I got a really strange phone call from one of Damien's hackers about the fucking police being called by a blonde to the towards Lolly. But They're sending the police here.
How's Damien doing?
Oh, that's the thing. We have to go meet Damien apparently and talk to Martin about some sort of thing that they want to discuss. And I think it has something to do with all of this. But
Are you fucking kidding me? They want us to leave while we're under attack?
that's
While
why
we
the
have
police are
a
coming.
fucking angry Nosferatu inside our haven?
I mean, if you're not here, he can't attack you.
Wait, they got in all the way?
That I don't know. But I was attacked by two Nosferatu back where Whispers used to hide out. One of them is dead. The other one disappeared the moment I turned away. I tried following him, thanks to Edwin here, but I lost track of him.
Edwin
Oh.
is real.
Yeah, I see Edwin. Is that what his name is? Anyway, the thing is, where you were attacked is not warded by me. It was connected, and he wanted a place that wasn't warded, so that I didn't ward that space. Probably how they got in. And then the place I was attacked was out in the parking lot, so technically not inside the haven, which is warded. So I don't think they got in. I think they just got close to getting in, and they're trying to figure out how to get in. But then there's also that thing that's inside of the ghoul that was trying to get inside of Miriam. If that makes sense.
What?
The owner of the ghoul was trying to use the ghoul to keep its way in, and Miriam was with it by it herself. And yeah.
Well, I think the owner of the ghoul is... What did you say his name was, Lolly? Bordriff?
Bordriff, he's the priest, I think. Another Nasi told me. It's a long story. Let's go see Damien.
Okay, but how are we going to explain this to all the party goers downstairs?
There's a party
Explain
going
what?
on?
Yeah, Derek's leaving.
Chest face palms. Fuck. God, that was tonight.
They didn't seem to realize anything was amiss.
Until the police sirens and the ambulance and the armed officers invading their space.
What if, hear me out, what if we didn't explain it to them?
I don't know what to do. We gotta go back towards Miriam and get the body. Probably should.
Okay, one possible idea. You're injured, right, Testia? And there's an ambulance coming?
Yeah.
Great, we called the ambulance to take you to seek care for your wound. Explanation padded out. Alright, let's get the body.
Maybe I stabbed you like I stabbed the cop. She says she makes a stabbing motion.
Looks at Lolly and just laughs at the not that she doesn't think Lolly could stab her, but just the absurdity of it all. She's just like, look, I was attempting to make it here tonight in time for Eric and got mugged, got stabbed, went to find extra clothes because I didn't want to worry anybody, but somebody saw it and reported it. Sound good?
Okay, I just think we should not explain anything. They're busy. Not everything in life comes wrapped up with a neat little bow on it.
We're wasting time. And then she turns around and heads back towards Miriam at a good clip.
Miriam, just as the built-up strength and the adrenaline of victory against whatever force is attempting to get inside, working around the edges and chewing through the foundational lumber like termites, the door swings open. Hestia and the gang are there once more. As the coterie unites, you all realize that the moaning of pain that you hadn't heard previously, Hestia, and that Miriam is all but tuned out, has grown louder from the detective. It is clear that he is moments, if not seconds, from awakening due to the pain of having his finger removed and the various slices, stabs, and contusions all over his body. And that's just there for you all, as that hangs there in the air. It is 3 after the hour. Let's make it back at 13 after. All right, folks, how we doing? Everybody back?
Yep.
Yeah.
Pass, made it back.
Yeah, sorry. My roommate keeps trying to get me to set everything on fire. That's his idea to everything. He's like, just light another Chicago fire. Why not? I'm like, problems with that?
There's several songs, but my favorite one pertaining to fires in Chicago was "That's the Night That Chicago Died." All right, so diving fully back into the circus that is unveiling and unfolding a few stories below where they currently are, having had the small moments of touching base with one another and finding out what kind of they've discovered, perhaps not putting the whole of the puzzle together, but they definitely have the edges. And most importantly, while it is in fact very true that names are for friends, they have a name that is not quite so friendly. Those of you with an occult of 2 or better would have heard of the New Orleans Kindred Slayer. It's a legend, it's a rumor, it's a myth that's propagated. A witch hunter that was so skilled they dared kill kindred by night, not simply hunting them through the day. They were so skilled and so disastrously effective in doing so that it took the combined might of several kindred to slay them. Several Nosferatu, to be specific, to slay them in a twisted version of justice. Or at least that's the way the rumors go. That's the way the myths go. Truth of the matter is, everyone knows that Nosferatu are only second to Bruja and Gangrel in terms of embracing whoever the hell they want, whenever the hell they want. But it's a nice myth. It's a nice rumor. It's a nice gossip. It's a nice wives' tales to tell young kindred to keep them on the straight and narrow about the might and right of the tower. That together there's very little that the tower can't accomplish. Blase, say, skippy, woo woo, and then some. The real fact is that the labored breathing of the detective has grown lively. It's not the silent, almost dead that it was a few moments ago. It is clear that the detective will rouse from their slumber in a few seconds, in a few moments.
Ollie would like to read his aura. Actually, she hates that she's doing it, but she's going to do it.
Now, we know that Lolly is predominantly psychometric. She likes touching things. Is that how she's attempting to read the detective's aura?
No, because she doesn't know what's going on with him other than them saying there was something going on with him, so touching him is a bad idea.
But is it though? You want to find all the details, right?
Have to make sure it's not going to explode first.
Well, there is that. Give me one quick second because I did not have my note open to the portion of Auspics for that. Give me one quick second. And yes, would you be so kind as to roll your intelligence plus Auspics? Oh wow, 3 successes right off the bat. So his aura is strangely pale and vibrant, swirling upon itself. With 3 successes, yes, you know for a fact that he is effectively possessed, but it's not a possession of a completely dead thing. There is something inhabiting him, or more likely, operating through him.
Okay, at that point, she's going to drag her feet sheepishly and reluctantly across the room towards him. And she's going to bite her lip and kind of turn her head to the side like it is going to explode. And she's going to place her hand on a portion of his bare skin.
Oh!
Sorry. As Lolly's heading over there, Miriam is going to tend to him, kind of comfort him and do what she can to quiet him.
Excellent, excellent. We like where this is going. Would you both be so kind as to roll your resolve plus Auspics?
Tess is going to look at me. I thought you were putting him back out for the transport.
And just for my edification, Lucio, did you bother to put away your your Oblivion sight?
I would assume so.
Just want to make sure.
Just double checking. What was it that you wanted us to roll again?
Resolve plus Auspics. It is
Oblivion sight. That Oblivion sight would have totally changed the tone of that party.
Oh,
Maybe he was implying something with the whole dark circles under his eyes.
Here, have some cake. Oh my god, what's wrong with your eyes?
Man, you look real tired. Did you get enough sleep last night?
Because what I was attempting to do is, as he was coming to, I was planning on catching his eyes and using Quell the Beast.
oh. Well, in that case, first thing first, you were attempting to make eye contact. That normally would have given you a minus in this particular regard, but we're going to give you one additional die to roll for your pool. And who knows? It is contested, so there is a chance, there is an opportunity, there is luck to be had. There is also a crap ton of danger. So versus 2 targets gives the die pool at -1. Let's see what that gets us. What does fate say for you all in this regard?
Abby says, ouch.
Would Lucio be rolling in this case too, or no?
No, he has effectively put away his piercing gaze into the darkness that is his oblivion sight. So, there is the understanding that man plans, God laughs, or more commonly Murphy's Law. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. And as you both lay on hands with Miriam attempting to catch its gaze, reaching across the boundless distance to whatever animating or controlling force is attempting to work through the detective, she makes contact with that evil. There is nothing good nor human in those eyes. There's nothing remotely connected with the idea of continued living of anything there in the center of its eyes. It takes the entirety of Miriam's reserves to hold that contact, to reach across and begin singing lullabies from a distance, to put this savage beast to rest, to soothe it back into a less actively violent state. Success comes at a cost, and then some, because it is impossible to reach out and touch something without being touched by it. It is possible to make contact with something and not carry a portion of it with you, either on your skin or in your soul. And this is what happens as Miriam begins ululating underneath her breath. It's the calming growl of a mother lioness. It's something decidedly feral. The music that begins wafting from her. And all would be well. All would be good. All would be easy as far as such things go. Save as Lolly touches the flesh. She brushes against what it is, and it rubs the inside of her, its fat porcine fingers gently stroking. She can hear its middle Atlantic corpulent voice. Now there's something worth interest. She can smell its sweat clinging to her skin. She knows that it in life was male. She knows it savors the destruction of kindred. She knows it likes being called Uncle Hori. And it turns her body and backhands Miriam. Lolly would be some kind of zero strength and brawl. It's weird piloting your body as someone else pilots your body, but it's strangely comfortable as whatever is subsuming control is huge. It takes up space, and you can feel its weight on you as if you are trapped beneath it as it ruts an intent to drown your control in all of itself. And Miriam, as you're attempting to keep it from acting out, and trying to keep it from becoming physical, Lolly waves at the flies around your face and shoulders. One huge swing designed to take off the heads of every fly and mosquito that has ever existed. And there's a understanding that you two are dialed into the same party line somehow. And while this is all happening, Lucio, seeing Lolly beginning to swing and attempt to accost Miriam, what is it that you all are doing? That back reminded you of the late great poet Rick James.
What the hell is happening now? Lucio is going to attempt to bear hug Lolly to try and restrain her.
Oh God.
Now, I'm guessing it's not too far of a conclusion looking at this as to what happened with what Hess knows.
What does Hess think happened?
She knew that Miriam was trained almost getting possessed, but then the fact that Lolly touched it, being Lolly, she figures that's what happened. It found its way in.
Yes, it almost had two bodies to work with, but, you know, these things happen. What are you going to do? As Lucio runs and throws his large, strong arms around Lolly.
And then, be careful how you grab her. She's possessed. And then...
This is nice. Slips out of Lolly's voice as Lucio's arms go around her. It's not Lolly's voice. It's some male, corpulent thing slipping and dripping from her. You know, Lolly and no kindred actually sweats, but it feels dirty putting your arms around Lolly. You can almost hear its labored breathing as you wrap your hands around something who is bathed in the sweat of orcas. Lucio. Lolly, is there any member of the coterie currently that you would not mind hurting?
I mean, Lolly doesn't want to hurt anyone.
Damn it all. You're supposed to say there's someone that I hold above all else. The reason for that is because that gives you another opportunity to resist the forces that are attempting to use you as its plaything, as it jams a fat, ham hock-sized hands up you and is manipulating levers and pushing things and making things happen.
I mean, the answer to that question would be the person that Lolly isn't afraid to hurt. The coterie would be Lolly.
Damn it all. That gives you an opportunity to resist as you struggle against Lucio, as it struggles against Lucio. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your Resolve plus Aspects?
Is it possible to rouse the blood?
Yes. As Miriam, Lucio, as Lolly struggles and attempts to free it herself. What is it that you all are doing?
I just have an out of character question. Is the thing that used to be Forcipulus's other side half still around, or has it moved on? Because we haven't felt it in a while.
It is firmly out of contention as far as everyone is concerned. Holy crap. Let's see. What is it strong enough to resist this?
Miriam is well and truly occupied, trying to keep it under control.
Again.
Lucio is still trying to keep Lolly from backhanding anyone else.
Backhands are fun, aren't they?
It depends. Are there rings involved?
Probably yes, actually.
Okay, trying to think what has that pocket. Being the Tremere, would she know how to trace this entity back using Lolly to where it is?
You need to identify what it is and have a sample of its vitae or its spectral body. Not the ectoplasm, there's an actual corpus, which, well, is a relative moot point. As Lucio holds Lolly still, Lucio's strength keeps Lolly from tearing free, and whatever is attempting to utilize Lolly does not have the fighting instinct that others would have. A stepping on the in-shin, a kicking back, shattering the knee, a using its vampiric strength to simply bite down. Any of those things could have potentially set it free. But instead, as Lolly considers harming herself to keep from harming others, as Lolly considers just the wretched state of their existence, she's able to shake off its control. Miriam pouring every ounce of calm and peace into it from a distance. The detective still mostly in pain, the body finally free of whatever that was, beginning to respond to the lack of pain meds, beginning to respond to the lack of the chemical coma.
As she pushes the thing out, she will let out a blood-curdling cocktail scream of triumph, pain, and fear as she gets rid of one sensation to be assaulted by all the things she perceives with the contact of Lucio, or believes she perceives anyway.
Oh no, she perceives it. Waking up in darkness, waking into this life and the pool and sweat of other formerly living things. She can see the tubes running between the bodies in the buckets. She knows what it's like to crawl up and out of the darkness as it slowly becomes more and more visible. She knows what it's like to look into the mirror and lose sense of yourself because there's nothing there. She knows what it's like to look on as her sister, Lucio's sisters, engage in a game of trivia night. She knows what it's like to fear for their very existence. She knows what it's like to have lost touch with her mother and her father, simply being erased from their understanding of the world. She knows what it's like to have someone willing to die for you as she contemplates Arsenio. She knows what it's like to be willing and able to sacrifice a life to save those that matter most. And she knows most intimately that pit of rage and anger and frustration that exists inside the arms holding her still.
She kind of goes limp and starts almost humming, hissing a mantra of "Let me go, let me go, let me go, let me go, let me go."
Has seen her go limp, looks at Miriam, drop the connection and put him out. We got him out of Wally, or Wally got him out of Wally.
She Echo. She will break her eye contact. Still kind of soothing words, and grab some medication to help make him sleep a little bit better. And some Tylenol for the pain.
There's wrong and all sorts of wrong. And no matter what you do, it's going to be wrong to someone. No matter what you do, no matter what you consider, there's always going to be someone to raise a. But however, and as Lucio holds Lolly, the strength of them suddenly and considerably less. There is the very real fact as if he feels as if all of that corpulence, all of that mental fat, all of that mental weight crawled over him and read his private messages. It feels as if something somewhere out there rifled through him as if he was a card catalog. Just flicked and kept moving quickly, the fingers sliding each card forward as you move further and further back into that little small drawer. And that drawer, that little small drawer that falls into darkness, is the totality of him. Does he keep holding on to Lolly? Does he keep silent in this moment that it is clear that the longer he is in contact, the more of his secret stash is pilfered, the more his files on the hard drive of his existence are copied and downloaded elsewhere?
I just want to make sure. So, you're saying this thing is going through Lucio's mind right now?
It feels like it. It feels as if the very possibility of all of his possibilities are being pulled out of thin air and read. Is this your card? Because that's not your future.
Would this
Your card?
Would this be something that Unswayable Mind might help against?
No. You're not being convinced of anything. You're not being forced to do anything. You're willingly in this moment, which is the part that sucks the most. Most of our greatest pains and most of our greatest hurts comes from our choice and our acceptance of it. And in Lucio's case, in this moment, what he's experiencing, what he is feeling, what he's intuiting, that's because he's willfully here in this moment.
So then the moment he starts feeling that, he's going to let go. Because he wants no part of something else going through his mind right now.
Oh, big boy.
Lolly will drop to the ground and scramble backwards, with kicking her feet into a corner and wipe at the blood leaking from her eyes.
Oh no. Storyteller.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, that's a problem.
Storyteller. Lucio's at 4 hunger. Is that an issue?
It is.
Good to know.
His thing has always been self-sacrifice. The first instance that he remembered was the vitae leaking from his side as if he had been pierced by a spear. The next moment when things got untenable and out of control, he noticed the very real vitae pooling in the cintures of the palms of his hand. He turned it over, and of course it leaked all over the floor, but there was also vitae leaking from the backside, as if whatever pierced his side also pierced his hand, something of a similar sort, something substantial enough to go through the bone as well, destroying them. And then the part that really horribly, the instance where it was so bad that he sat in the shower and died for the day, underneath all of that was when the vitae started leaking from the crown of his head, pouring down his ears and covering his neck and all of that much needed vitae. Misery loves company, and everything in life is contagious. Our happiness, our sadness, our depression. We are only semi-solid bags of liquid. And as Lolly backpedals away from Lucio, their shared moment of understanding him, birds of a feather, it seems, as her vitae tinged tears mimic the small pooling of liquid in the cinters of his hands. As the shirt underneath his jacket begins clinking and sticking to his body, and he feels very much as if he has swamp ass all over his chest, as he realizes that his shirt and the pants therein are slowly soaking up all of that lovely, thick, rich vitae. Does anyone have, outside of Lucio, does anyone have hunger of 4 or higher?
Not I.
Nope.
All right. Lucio, would you be so kind as to roll 1/3 of your humanity, your unspent willpower, and your DC is 2. Because the room is slowly swelling with the scent of not just dried, caked on, very old blood, but it's filling with the scent of almost warm, melon sweet kindred vitae. Things are growing. And while he has developed his palate to the point where he can just about tell you how old the kindred whose vitae he has sampled is, there's still a real part of him that it's okay with junk food. It's okay with going to McDonald's. It's okay with eating a little junk to feel better about yourself by making yourself feel so much worse. But he can't see himself feeding on himself or Lolly or the detective that allowed whatever that presence was into their space.
Real quick, when Lolly touched him, did she sense that he was still there and just had a passenger, or was the passenger all there was?
The detective? Oh no, he has a passenger. He has a passenger somewhere out there in the night being pissed off that his efforts that are normally successful without anyone noticing failed. So somewhere out there in the night, there is a large, excessively tall and bulky kindred having a fit of anger. You can imagine them. You can see them in your mind's eye reaching out through the darkness, their hands throttling their loyal, up to this point, manservant. You can see them pacing across a floor that's large enough to count as a ballroom, and they stare out onto their private back acreage, fixated on getting their revenge.
That's almost worse.
As Miriam stabilizes the detective, the would-be instrument of, well, chaos, knowing that moments have ticked by, and that right this moment, in the middle of all of that camaraderie, communal happiness, came instruments of their potential downfall. Everyone's thoughts encapsulates this moment, as well as what most assuredly is happening downstairs. Just as little as last night, they, by strength of community, were willing to take up strength of arms against a police officer. Just as little as last night, they watched as Lolly stabbed the police officer to death. Just as little as last night, they understood on an intimate manner what community meant for them, and it meant standing up for those who can't stand up for themselves. That meant being willing to go to jail, to prison, to protect the lives of one of their own. And in the midst of their celebration tonight, in the midst of their party, in the midst of them being happy, despite themselves, for one of their own, going out there into the world that has shunned them, into this mix, into these moments, comes several, 6 to be exact, uniformed police officers barging in as if they own the place, barging in with a purpose as they begin questioning, and questioning is the most aggrandizing lie that there is, when they begin interrogating the people present. The 2 detectives waiting by the door were keeping an eye on things, looking left and right, and literally weighing and measuring every person that's here. The officers interrogating, trying to find out why they had been summoned out, why they had been called out, why they had been forced to come here. And then the clients, the citizens of this independent state that is the Harazvaro shelter, coming face to face with the idea of horror, that is these unasked for, uncontrolled, unknown factors with weapons, these enforcers of local law, entering into their safe space, being the very real threat that they are. The shock, the crying, the tears start, the happiness that was possessing nearly every person, despite their own issues with what that might mean, is shattered. It is obliterated. And on that note, with that realization hanging over their heads and toying with the strings of their heart, I want to thank you all for a lovely session. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, all.